AI is a hype, AI doesn't work, I tried it, I asked chat, it gave me something, it was wrong, I stopped it. It's a hype, it's not worth it. That's what I'm hearing from normal people outside the tech bubble. And this episode is about how you are using it wrong if you are that person and how you get to the other side. We want to help you build a wisdom machine. A wisdom machine! So I'm going to share how to build a wisdom machine, and Neil is going to share how he actually built great stuff that makes money. So stay tuned. Stay tuned until the end. The money part is in the end. First, the boring part, how you build a wisdom machine.
You need to start somewhere, right?
Start somewhere. Start somewhere. How are you, Neil?
I'm good. Excited. I've been playing around, as I said, with coding and making apps and selling some apps. So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, it's an exciting time, I think. Definitely.
Where are your biggest disappointments with AI, and where are your biggest wins?
I'll start off with the wins. My biggest wins are giving me the ability to create apps and plugins and things that I wouldn't normally do. I am from the tech space, but I'm not a coder. And I have ideas and concepts about how I want to create things, but without Claude Code and without the knowledge of AI, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I know there's a lot of talk about vibe coding, but I'm actually doing more than vibe coding. I'm actually creating something and then being able to sell that and filling a need and a gap, which I'll talk about later. So that's my biggest win. My biggest sort of disappointment is some of the inconsistencies that you still get with AI. And I know you've experienced this as well, where you are telling it a particular set of tasks. It has its MD file, it has its skills file that it's supposed to follow. And from time to time, it just seems to, I don't know, just forget or make mistakes. And we wouldn't expect that if it's trying to follow instructions. So you've always got to verify, I think, what is coming out of AI. But that's been my biggest disappointment so far, where it just seems to still forget stuff and do things wrong. And then you have to tell it again. So, yeah.
It still does it, right? My biggest disappointment this week was, and maybe I have to premise, guys, if you don't know me so well, I have spent 128 million tokens in the last 5 months on Claude Code. And so I went in pretty massively. And so what is this, like in hours or in time? It's 3,600 times telling it something. And it's basically 17 hours a day having it work on something, right? Even when I'm not on my computer, it's always doing something. And so that's the wisdom machine that we're gonna unpack. And so my biggest disappointment this week was that it's really bad at project management. Even if some in our community were totally happy about my emails, for example, when we have a project where 15 people are on a given project, I send these updates, right? Hey, we are at 60% progress on this project. That's the next step. And I got emails back. Wow, that's an amazing email. It looks like gamified. Because yes, it was a beautiful, nice, clean HTML that Claude produced. And it was an email that showed you a progress snapshot of a project. And this is actually where it's really good, showing you a progress snapshot on a project. But my disappointment was that I thought, oh, well, then it's good at project management. And that's not the case. Because between those snapshots, it forgets stuff. And in project management, that's the worst thing. It can happen to you. You're dropping the ball on key milestones and forgetting what's happening. So in the moment, it's great. If you are a project manager and you wanted to visualize, to communicate, to gather, to orchestrate, it's really good. But you cannot say, hey, this is the project, see you in 3 months when it's done. That was my biggest disappointment. And on the other side, the wins are on the sales side of things and on the marketing side of things. It's really good with pipeline management. It's really good with all the boring parts of marketing.
Cool.
Let's unpack
I'm
it.
interested though.
Yeah.
I'm interested real quick on the project management side, because its sole job is to remember sequential tasks and follow up and things like that. So, is there a way, do you think, in the future that it's going to be better at that? Is there a way that we as humans can help it guide it to be able to check and verify each sort of thing that's done? Because if it's relying on input from other people, it's also got to verify that those tasks are done and then flag where things aren't being completed and so on. But I guess with normal project management, the entire job is to run that multiple tasks, run the project, validate inputs, go after people if they haven't provided what they need, and verify that these tasks are done. So is there a way that you potentially as a human could help AI with that? Or is it just because sometimes it does forget things and you have to keep telling it the same thing?
I've lowered my expectations in regards to its weaknesses. I don't expect the weaknesses to become strengths. The strengths will accelerate even more. So everything that has a clear numeric endpoint is amazing, like accounting, tax preparation, in building your trading buddy, investing analysis, due diligence. Perfect. Wonderful. Finance. Wonderful at these things. Coding. 90% meanwhile of the cool companies have Claude Code for them. 90%, so 10% is doing manually, and it will be zero soon. So all these things, I think they're strengths, and they're gonna just accelerate even more. But let's talk about the weaknesses. What is an LLM? It is something where you say, this book is, and then it gives you the probability of the next word. That's what it is. So it's a probability calculating machine and pattern recognition machine. So if the project has already benchmarks, if it's in the past, in terms of you don't have to create anything new, yes, that will be on the strength side. But if the project is made of multiple parts, you don't know the outcome, and you have to find out, the first thing where it breaks is deciding what's the next action. Because that still takes human judgment and taste. And that's what it's not good at. It's not good at judgment. About things that are in the future, about things that are undefined. And that's the definition of a project nowadays. So even if it's just you're building a shed in your garden, it's not good at deciding what's the next step. Like, should it be, ordering the wood, or is it, I don't know,
Yeah.
something else?
If you laid the foundations, do you need the windows now? Do you need the new roof? Do you need that extra bit for the thing? Yeah, and I think this is why the common phrase that I hear a lot is human in the loop.
Yes.
So keeping a human in the loop
Exactly.
of whatever the task or process that your AI is doing. And specifically to your point about project management, that's definitely where you still need a human in the loop.
Yes, and that's why I say it's not good at it, because if I'm still in the loop, you're not taking the task from me. It's useless. So if I'm still doing it, you're not helping me. As an entrepreneur, right, you always think about delegation so that you can move on to the next bigger problem, right? So if you still are in all projects, that's not a big help to you as an entrepreneur. And the bottleneck is, for each project, deciding what's the one next action per project. On average, teams have 60 to 160 projects going on all the time. Projects defined as everything that is more than 2-3 steps. And if in a project, that was my disappointment, if in a given project you don't have the one next action, nothing can move. Nothing. Right. Now you've built committees world, which is the dark ages that we want to leave behind. That's not the future of work. Like waiting for the committee to decide the next action.
Decision by, it's like a government, isn't it? Decision by committee. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the way forward. You can't
That's
be
not-
agile if you're deciding key things by committee.
Exactly. So why do we say a wisdom machine? Let me find some empty space so that we can draw on it. Let me put
Okay.
up like a whiteboard.
I'm
Because
intrigued because I'm
yeah,
interested to know where you are in this whole process. I mean,
yeah.
what is a wisdom machine? Yeah, tell us what your definition of that is.
Yes. And I did not invent the term. Let's go to the people who actually built this. We're talking about the data hierarchy model of Russell Etkoff. And that's 40 years old or something, that model. And what is it? The key thing is you have data, and he says for every, is it readable? Should I change the color?
Yeah,
For
no, it's
every
good. No, I can read it.
ounce of data, no, for you have a ton of data, the world is data, everything is data. And now for every ounce, for every amount of data that you have, 1 ounce of it is information. Information means knowledge. And without knowledge, again, you can't move. There is no action yet. This is just a list. And then the second step is, okay, what does this mean for us? But still, nothing's moving. Nobody's building an app. Nobody's helping anybody else with anything at this stage. And here's the bad news. Most people use ChatGPT for exactly this. From data to information. And that's it. Like you ask one question, you get one answer. Ha ha ha, he he he. Wow, it's interesting. Bye bye. Next day, you start from scratch. That's the whole loop. But the next step is it remembers you. It remembers the state of things. It's not stateless anymore. It has some loop back to experience. It knows, oh, I told this to Neil. Neil then did that. He clicked that button. He should have clicked the other button. Then this went wrong. And now I'm saving a lessons MD about which button should not be clicked. Now we're moving from information to understanding. And you see already what turns information into understanding is experience. I told him something, I watched how he does it, he did something, we had an experience, we wrote it down, we learned from it. You only get to understanding with experience. And that's why chat doesn't work, not even in Claude Code, because it's stateless and it's only data to information, It's research. But there is no experience and then back to understanding in chat mode. You have to move over to Claude Code or at least to Cowork to actually get this loop going from information to understanding.
I think just real quick, what you said there about they're asking a question and response. People are using Chat, GPT, and Claude just like they would do with Google search. I'm searching for something, I'm getting a result, I'm digesting that, and then I'm moving on.
Correct.
Google doesn't remember what you sort of search for specifically, and there's no context behind that, right?
I ask, you tell me, I ask, you tell me, we're moving here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why it doesn't really add anything. And everybody goes, this is a hype. This is a bubble. This is going to pass. This is not as cool as the internet. Come on. Well, wait a second. Wait a second, right? We're not done yet. There is wisdom. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. And this is the Jetpack workshop of next Monday. Because now, what turns understanding into wisdom is experience plus a kind of networked experience. You learn something. Oh, if I click that button, that's wrong. The other one is right. But now you could go into your community and teach this on your Substack to other people. Guys, this week I learned this, and this matters to you if you are this, and in that context it means that, and in that. And then you see their reaction in the comments and you go, oh, half of them got it, half of them didn't get it at all. Why? Oh, because I was communicating it for extroverts, but half of them were introverts. So I have to find an additional way to communicate this to introverts. You see the difference between understanding and wisdom. Understanding, now you get it, but wisdom is you also know how to get it across different perceivers. So you can attune now. And what happens when you teach something via Substack or university classes or master classes? You make your understanding from implicit, it's in your head, to explicit. You can now externalize it. That's why teaching is so cool for the teachers. You always learn when you teach, right? That's why we love it. We love to be teaching things. And so while I'm externalizing this, I'm learning already again. This is wisdom. So it's data that's turned into information. You have extracted the information out of the data. The information plus experience became your understanding. And when it's then a collective understanding, an understanding that you can bring everywhere and that can touch as others, now we're talking wisdom. And the wisdom machine is something completely different than question and answer. Because now you have emergent properties. An emergent property, again, to systems theory, right, where this comes from. An emergent property means 10 people doing this together will come to an 11th conclusion, to a 12th idea. Because now these things cross-pollinate. They generate a spark, and then a 13th person sees it and uses it in a different way. And now those things start building upon each other and compounding.
Cool. So you're building this within your own systems now, within your own environment,
Yes.
right?
I'm living this. I'm building this machine. I'm like 60% of the machine being ready, right? It's creating some wisdom effects already for me. That's the 60%. And the other 40% is not yet mature and not yet built right, and needs to learn a little bit more. But I'm sharing those 60% in the Monday Jetpack workshop because, yeah, we can already leverage 60% of this. And I personally have 5 advisors that are my business advisors, and they are at wisdom level. They are creating wisdom for me, and I can share a few. And I have 5 personal mentors, also AI agents, that are personal mentors, and they are also totally giving me wisdom every day.
And just for people who are listening, in terms of the communication path for those advisors and your 5 personal and your 5 business, do they provide you with like a summary on a daily basis? Do they send you things as and when tasks are complete, or whether there's a question? Do you go in on your own in terms of, various parts of the day and ask that? I'm just wondering in terms of like the communication path, because typically, when you're running a business, you'll get an email, somebody will call you, whatever. There's a pattern interrupt. There's an interrupt to your day where you then get some question, comment, remark, whatever it might be that you have to address as a business owner. So I guess you have the power to tell your board of directors and advisors how you want that communication to flow, as opposed to, having normal humans just deciding, I'm going to send Simon an email, I'm going to interrupt his day and give him some bad news.
Yes.
So could you maybe explain a little bit about how you've, for your own personal sort of, workflow, how you're doing that?
Yeah. So this is the second mistake that I see happening. Some people, they build their board of advisors and they look for, oh, I want smart people on that board. I like Hormozy, Charlie Munger, because they think, oh, it's about the intelligence, the models, the knowledge of that advisor. And in reality, it's not. What creates that wisdom is the iterations. Like I do something, it's in my pipeline. I meet somebody, it's in Granola Obsidian. Now I meet you. And when I create a draft of something for us to work on, that is already informed by a meeting before, granola obsidian data information, by a data point, an understanding that happened 3 hours ago with some other agents. I have 122 agents running around right now. They are learning something. When I build the next draft, it will be better than the last draft that I built because they are learning something. So it's much more about the repetitions and this, like going to the gym. Let's say you push 60 kilogram of something. That push does not create our muscles. The muscles get created. That's just the impulse.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the information to the muscles. Guys, we need more of you in the future. That's just information. But then we go to sleep. And while we sleep, if we ate enough proteins and hydrated enough and did not drink a ton of alcohol, now the body is creating that additional muscles. And the next day, when we go and push, we push more because we have more muscles. But it was a 3 parts or a 4 parts super compensation cycle. So it was information, guys, we need more. Then it needs time for them to actually digest it, repair what was broken in the muscle, and rebuild it stronger. And now after these cycles, these little iterations, now we're building muscles. So it's not what's the best barbell that I can find. Nobody talks like that. You just take any barbell. You just take a stone. You just run up a hill. Nobody thinks about. And so I get all these questions. Where are your agents, locally or in the cloud? Who cares, right? Ask me about my barbell. Is this a barbell made of titan or steel? I don't know. It's heavy. That's what it should do.
Right.
It doesn't hurt me. And I don't care if it's out of wood or stone or metal. It should be some kilograms.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's a great point. I think you you don't have to be the best. You don't have to know everything about how a Formula One racing car works to be the best driver.
Yeah,
You've got a team of people to do that. It doesn't matter where these things are, right? As you said.
but
And
people get hung
people
up on
don't.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I see
But I
people
think,
using VS Code, and they think half of the time about in which folder things should be. And when I work with those people, they ask me, but in which folder is it right now? I say, I don't know. I'm in the terminal. I don't care. I'm in the gym. I don't care about how this barbell was created in the manufacturing facility.
And I think a lot of people are down in the weeds in the detail because it's a control thing. I think some cases people need to understand and feel like they still have the control about where everything is. And I think to your point, there's a nice sort of feeling where if you can just get on with the task and not exactly worry about all the nuts and bolts, it just frees you up from a time perspective and so on. If you know that your systems are being backed up regularly, you can always get access to the data and your agents will tell you where things are. If you need to know that answer, then you don't need to know about it straight away, I think.
No, I still don't know how my
that's
phone
important.
works, but I call people.
Yeah, I think people are just worried a little bit about, the scaremongery that's been going around about AI is going to take over. It's going to dig all into your data and it's going to send all your friends and family your social security numbers and things. I mean, there are rules and boundaries that you set, so on. And I think that's important. And maybe that's a topic for another show about just setting rules and boundaries on what, AI can and can't do within your entire systems. But you shouldn't care about whether it's running on your local machine, in the cloud, hybrid, and so on. And I just want to pick up on something you mentioned. Did you say you've got over 100 agents running now, or did I miss
122.
you?
And they might be more because they hire new ones. They spawn their colleagues.
You've just created it's almost like you're building your own country and you've got your own population running in the background, which are all AI agents. And I think that's different. If you were to try and do this with real people in real life now, how would you ever from an entrepreneur perspective, ever manage such a large team?
4 months, 122 people. It's a full-time job. Just recruiting them,
just to
onboarding
manage
them.
and checks and balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where the autonomy of AI can really help, I think.
A total game changer. I mean, the costs we're talking about for 128 million tokens, which is basically like 122 people working with us, have been $200 a month.
Yeah, which is nothing. I mean, how much is a salary for 100 people?
More.
Let's not even go there. Yeah, a little bit more than that, right? So that's crazy. That's crazy. And you've seen some amazing results. I know we've talked about that before in terms of the from a business perspective. So your knowledge, wisdom, what you're going to talk about next week on your jetpack is really how people can start to build their own knowledge base and their wisdom profile for their own business. Is there anything that you can share just as a teaser before next week without giving the secret sauce away? I mean,
sure. Let's find the agenda somewhere in the Sprint Club. So next Monday we have 2 hours in the Jetpack series, and these are the topics of the Jetpack series this year. In April, we built a foundation: 1 agent, 1 advisor, 1 loop. Now we build the whole board. So they will select 3 to 5 advisors based on what they need, right? I expect there will be like a CTO and a sales guy, definitely mandatory. Like, how can you run a company without a CTO and a sales guy, right? And then the other 3 will be very, very different depending on industry, depending on where they are in their journey. And that's also my method. Is it's not cookie cutter. Here are my 5. Let's duplicate the Notion page and everybody gets the cookie cutter template, because my goals are not your goals. My time in the market and how old my company is, it's not the same thing. And you have to go with your weaknesses and your strengths and your goals, and they are singular. So let me give you one example from the personal mentors, right? I like to start from the workflow, not what's possible, because most people burn out with AI because they start building what's possible. Oh, I could build 700 MCPs per day and make them like my lead magnet. Yeah, you could. Probably it's not gonna work out well. And I could build 7 countries that have my name. Yeah, you could, but that's not the right reason to do it.
Yeah.
Instead, let's start with what are my tops that I have to get right this week, right? Or today. Like today it's May 19th, and this was my May 19th. These are the top 4 things that I need to do. And this is if I did them or not. Now, I will ask AI to help me with that. I have to do prospecting, but this is the part where I really suck, or this is the part that I avoid. This is the part where I find excuses not to do it. Can you help me with that? That would be the first advisor that we build on Monday. And this is the Monday session. We build a full board, and then in June we'll build just the sales workflows in an agentic way, and in July the marketing workflows, etc., bit by bit. And if people want to access to this, it's in the Sprint Club. It's strategysprints.com. And so we start with the biggest problems that we need to solve today, mapping out that workflow. How are we doing that? Where do we need help? And that will be advisor number 1. And the advisor doesn't do anything. They just think and delegate. So they think back and forth to you. So my strategy advisor, Richard, I go, Richard, I have so many ideas, but which one moved the needle most today? And then he goes back and says, well, on your project list, there is 25 things. I think these 3 have the biggest impact. And I go, wow, cool. Yeah, I'll start with one of those 3 today.
Yeah, and I think what's important is that there's two things. One, you are keeping yourself accountable by only working on those four things. Well, not only. As a priority, you're working on the first four things in your to-do list effectively. That is going to move the needle for the business. And then you are using your AI board of directors to actually identify other areas where you may not be focusing or you may have missed out that actually could give a better return or move the needle more for your business or make money without spending time on unnecessary tasks. Because it's very easy. I fall into the trap as well as entrepreneurs. We fall into the trap of maybe working on the nice stuff because it's nice to do, as opposed to sort of digging into the hard things that could potentially do more for your business quickly, I think.
I am hardcore with how I allocate my attention and my time, because that's a limited resource. It's the only thing I cannot uh, create more of. I can create more customers. I cannot create more time per day.
No, that's a really good point. Yeah. And this is why AI is very useful to effectively giving you more flexibility and increasing the amount of things that you can do as an entrepreneur whilst allowing AI to do those things
Yeah.
for you in the background.
And we have been doing
Is there
this.
a limit? Go on, sorry.
Yeah, these jetpacks, we have been doing them now in-house with dozens of teams. And one thing that I realized is a ton of teams, before they even do AI, they need to do one thing before, which is actually getting their data together. So mapping out how they work, who is their real client, how do they serve them, how do they do stuff. Because for an agent to actually help you, they need to be able to read your world. They need basically a twin of your world. And the easiest way to create that twin is to write it down. So we gave it access immediately to all our processes, standard operating procedures. This is how we attract people. This is how we close them. This is how we deliver. And then these are the compounding elements, like everything that's leadership or learning from what we do, our experiments, our assumptions. Uh, the first step is you need to write down what you do and you need to work in public. So this is the first step of working in public, meaning it's either a markdown file or a structured note that the agents can read. Otherwise, they're just guessing and they can't help you. If they then they start making things up.
Yes. And I think we spoke about this before, right? Without context, without knowledge of what you do as a business, then it is just going to basically make stuff up based on what it knows. And to people that are watching this and maybe saying, "Oh my gosh, I've had my business for 3 or 4 years. I don't have all of these standard operating procedures written down. I have some things in my head. I have some stuff on everywhere." That's something that you as Simon Severino and your team can help businesses with, right? Setting the foundation before you even go, because I think a lot of mistakes people make is they're living in this unstructured environment, and then they think AI is going to solve that clutter, that unstructured thing. And as you mentioned, just by giving AI what you have in your head in bits and pieces isn't going to make anything better. And that's why people may think that AI is a failure. It's not doing what I want it to do because you just don't have the right information and inputs to give it in the first place.
Yes. It starts making things up. That's the hallucination, which is totally frustrating when you experience that, when it doesn't have enough context. And that's why the first thing to create is this basically map of your world. You start writing it down. And if it's daunting, yes, that's what we do for a living. We help you do these things, organize better, accelerate sales. That's what we do. We are a consulting company. And this has been lesson number one in implementing AI with teams, because some teams, they can get started right ahead because they have processes. But if you never wrote down anything and you don't have a CRM where your relationships can be read, and your meetings, and who are you meeting, and who are these people, and who is their ideal client, then you cannot really ask an agent to do anything, because they don't have that context.
Yeah, and I think people have got to understand that AI would just be like getting a physical employee or somebody as a consultant coming into your business and asking them to do the same thing without context. How are they supposed to operate and work? It's just the same for AI. You've got to give people an understanding of what you do as a
Yeah.
business, which I think is wise words.
Yes, they're just much faster, and
Yes.
they don't have a body, so they don't have to sleep. They don't need weekends. It's pretty
That's right.
cool, actually. Um, but also because they don't have a body, they are not very grounded. So they will spin up stuff from time to time. So there's both sides. Uh, I love having AI both as a thinking partner, as a researcher for everything finance, everything numeric. They're taking from me. Basically, it's wonderful. Things that took me 80 hours to do in spreadsheets take now an hour, and
Hmm.
it's not my hour. So it's really good. It's really good for many things. That's a wisdom uh, machine that I hope you guys build for yourself, because you don't need to do it all on your own anymore, and you don't need to have all these bloated costs positions anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if we've got time to talk real quick about what I've been doing from an app perspective, but
Your
I
apps.
can I can share that. I can share that real quick, or we can do that next week. It's entirely up to you.
Yes, I want to see your apps.
Okay, let's do it now, real quick. I can just talk about what I was doing. So basically, I work in a video production environment, and a lot of the times I come across things that I wish could be done a little bit better, or there might be gaps in software, things that I would do on a day-to-day basis, just to simplify sort of my process and things. So I'll just give you one example of one thing that I had identified and created an app for and made some money on, and it's a very simple thing. So I use the same product as you. I use Ecamm for my live production, and I've been getting a lot of questions and people asking me around the management of the files that are contained within Ecamm. So when we have a show, when we create a live stream, there's something called a profile. A profile is effectively a show. And within the software itself, there is a way that you can actually clean up and remove these files and have an understanding about basically, how much space is being consumed by this and how you sort of set these up and manage them. And unfortunately, it's not as fluid as people wanted. So there was no way of, deleting multiple profiles in one go. They're hidden. They're structured in a binary code. It's not human readable. It's very, very hard to understand that. So I thought, well, there must be a way that I can create a little app that will help people manage and maintain and clean up the profiles on Ecamm and give them a bit more flexibility for backing up and restoring these, because they're important, right? If you've got a show, if you've got all these different assets and things like that, you want them in a single place and just an easy, manageable app to do that. So I had problems just doing it myself. So I thought maybe I can create an app using Claude Code that will help me build this. And it had no knowledge of Ecamm or anything like that. So I had to, again, like Simon mentioned, give it context about what I do as a business, how I create my workflows, what I use Ecamm for, and basically give it some information on things. So all I did was ask Claude Code to help me build an app, and I just created this simple little Apple app. I originally created it with Claude Code using something called Apple Script, which is what was built into Apple, and it looked awful. There was no UI or anything like that. So I again, don't know code, but I asked Claude Code to help me build a Swift-based workflow, which is the language that Apple uses to build all their apps. And I decided to create this app that will allow me to understand all the profiles I've got on my machine, how much data they're consumed, which files are bigger than others. These are specifically profiles within my live streaming software, and then give me a way to be able to back these up and restore them. So I decided, well, this works well for me. Maybe other people would like to have this app as well until Ecamm builds this into their software.
Where did you sell it?
Specifically.
The App
So
Store.
what I did was, I basically put this app on the market. It's on a platform where you can just do digital downloads and sales. And I put this out there, started pushing it on LinkedIn and various other platforms, and my Substack and to my viewers and readers, and yeah, people are downloading, paying me some money for this app, downloading it, and it works. So that's just a very quick way of making, you know, some passive income just from a problem that I had to solve myself that I thought might be interesting for other people. I've also created other bits and pieces, other apps, and done similar things, and charged, you know, just a small low ticket item for it. But again, it's just a way of, I've solved a problem for me. Maybe I can help other people with that problem. And by the way, I can get some money for my time. And it actually took me, to quantify that, it probably took me 1 hour, something like that, to do all this. A couple of iterations. I asked somebody to have a look at it for me, do a little bit of testing. I had a human to test it first of all, because I wasn't relying just on AI to do everything for me. And it came up with some ideas and other things. So yeah, just a quick way of using Claude Code to create something and then sell it.
From idea to monetization in an hour. That's pretty cool, guys.
Pretty cool.
If you want to know more and check it out, go to his Substack. How can people find your Substack?
Just go to neilfarrimond.substack.com and you can find out more about what I do, and I post everything in there that I've been playing around with and stuff. Yeah.
And it's amazing anyways, so do it, even if you are not looking for that specific app right now. Thank you so much, Neil. And this was amazing, guys. If you need any help from Neil, from myself, let us know. And wherever you are stuck, we're happy to help you get unstuck. Just let us know and we'll do the next video about it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye all.